Okay, bad joke. I made a bad joke. You're not a replicant.
All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
Ridley Scott's Blade Runner envisioned a perpetually rain-drenched, neon-lit Los Angeles where humanity and androids blurred. From Alien, Scott crafted a dystopian masterpiece that explored man-machine boundaries. Despite production hurdles like script changes, technological risks, and studio demands for a voiceover and happy ending, the film's visual grandeur and thematic depth endured. We'll explore 20 revelations, from Sid Mead's art and Vangelis' score to Hauer and Ford's contributions and the unsung craftsmen, unraveling the making of this influential cinematic achievement. Number 1. From Philip K. Dick to Hampton Fancher's Rough Draft. Philip K. Dick's 1968 novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, was adapted by Hampton Fancher in 1977 into an action-oriented script focusing on a rogue android manhunt. David Peoples then rewrote it, balancing existential questions with noir elements. Their work created a cinematic blueprint. Detective Rick Deckard hunts replicants seeking to extend their lives. This established empathy as the measure of humanity. Number 2. Ridley Scott's Neon Vision, world building by design. After Alien, Ridley Scott craved a new creative frontier. He pored over Fancher and Peoples' drafts at his London home, scribbling margin notes. More verticality, rain everywhere, corporations dominate the sky. Scott brought in conceptual futurist Sid Mead, whose Moebius strip sketches of crowded streets, endless advertisements, and monolithic structures shaped the film's iconic look. Mead's art inspired the construction of 3 soundstage city blocks, layered with neon signs and window fans, all drenched in perpetual drizzle. Scott's directive was clear: build a future that felt lived in, oppressive, and achingly beautiful. A world where light fights darkness, but never fully wins. Number 3, shooting Los Angeles at night. Reality versus stagecraft. To ground his vision, Scott dispatched second unit crews to film Los Angeles' nighttime streets. Rain-slicked highways, towering billboards, and perpetual haze. These plates were then projected onto massive backdrops behind studio sets in Uxbridge, England. Cast and crew, decked in trench coats and reflective face shields, acted under frigid halogen lights, bathed in projections of real city life. This hybrid approach created unparalleled authenticity. Deckard's paint-etched face catching real neon glints, replicants passing beneath holographic umbrellas, elements impossible to achieve on a backlot alone. Number 4. The Tyrell Pyramid, a temple of technological hubris. One of the most arresting images of Blade Runner is the Tyrell Corporation's Ziggurat Tower, looming over the city like a beacon of hubris. Art director Lawrence Paul designed the 140-foot set in 5 tiers, clad in mirrored panels to reflect the city's chaotic energy. During construction, cast members, some over 6 feet tall, marveled at its scale, joking they'd need inflatable wings to reach the top. The pyramid's imposing geometry underscored Tyrell's godlike ambition, creating life and then demanding worship from its creations. Every reflective panel, down to the engraved owl statues, told the story of corporate omnipotence and the fragile mortality lurking within. Number 5. Practical rain and relentless gloom. Scott insisted on real water pouring from overhead pipes to simulate a city under constant drizzle. Over 3 weeks, gaffer technicians rigged hundreds of sprinkler heads above the street sets, unleashing a torrent whenever cameras rolled. The relentless downpour combined with sub-zero air compressors to chill actors to the bone. Production nurse Marion Leighton Levy administered hot towels between takes. The payoff is visceral. Water beads on leather jackets, neon lights refract through mist, and every scene is claustrophobic with humidity, immersing viewers in a world where shelter is as elusive as hope. Number 6. Harrison Ford's reluctant Blade Runner. Harrison Ford wasn't the first choice for Deckard. Spielberg had envisioned a lean young actor, but when his schedules clashed, the role landed on Ford's eager shoulders. Ford approached Deckard warily. He worried the character's ambiguity might overshadow his heroic persona. On set, Ford clashed with Scott over Deckard's emotional arc, demanding clearer motivations. During a pre-sunrise shoot on the rooftop with Sean Young's Rachel, Ford insisted on improvising the line, "It's too bad she won't live, but then again, who does?" Scott allowed it, capturing a moment of bleak romanticism that became a signature beat in Deckard's moral journey. Number 7. Sean Young's replicant revelation. Sean Young's Rachel was originally scripted as an astute psychologist with a hidden past. Young infused her with vulnerability, crafting Rachel's impeccable wardrobe out of her own couture collection. On the day of the replicant reveal, Scott rotated a hidden panel near Young's shoulder to block the camera. As he whispered, "You're not in the test." Young's genuine surprise and shattered composure made the scene achingly real. That unplanned moment of revelation, caught on a single take, cemented Rachel's tragedy and underscored the replicant problem: synthetic strangers longing for meaning in a world that denies their humanity. Number 8. Rutger Hauer's final monologue, Tears and Rain. Rutger Hauer arrived on set with Roy Batty scripted as a merciless leader, but he saw richer nuance. Mid-shoot, Hauer requested a private meeting with Scott and David Peoples to explore Batty's soul. He rewrote his climactic speech overnight, trimming it from a long soliloquy to a succinct meditation on memory and mortality.
All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
On the Venice Canal rooftop, Hauer delivered the iconic, "All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain." Scott shot it in a single continuous take. That impromptu revision elevated Batty from villain to tragic philosopher and birthed cinema's most quoted farewell. Number 9. Vangelis' Ethereal score, synths and heartbeats. Scott initially commissioned a traditional orchestral soundtrack, but editor Dov Honig suggested Greek composer Vangelis. Honig smuggled early test cuts into a slot at Vangelis' Athens studio, where the composer improvised moody chord structures on Yamaha synths and processed his own whispered vocals through delay units. When Scott heard Vangelis' love theme merged with unsettling percussion and electronic breaths, he declared, "This is Blade Runner." The score's haunting swirl became as integral as the visuals, melding human longing with machine precision. Number 10. Spinner car design, flying through the neon maze. The spinner cars, sleek, retro-futuristic hover vehicles, were built by Paul M. Samon's mechanical team in Carson, California. They grafted Corvette bodies onto custom suspension rigs, suspending them on high-pressure airbags to simulate hovering. During night shoots, the spinner's underbody lights reflected off wet asphalt, creating a surreal glow. Pilots sat in hydraulic seats that tilted with abrupt turns, eliciting genuine gasps. Those unpredictable jolts became part of the performance. Deckard's determined chase down 6th Street felt more like a white-knuckle roller coaster than a stage sequence. Number 11. Sidney Pollack's unseen cuts and the director's cut birth. When studio heads previewed the rushes, they panicked at Deckard's moral ambiguity. Universal demanded a voiceover narration by Ford to clarify plot points and a closing happy street scene to soften the film's bleakness. Producer Michael Dealey resisted but eventually relented under financial pressure. 2 decades later, spurred by fan petitions and restoring bloodless Super 8 reels, Scott negotiated to release his director's cut and later the definitive final cut, stripping away Ford's voiceover and reinstating Hauer's monologue. The film's resurgence proved that sometimes the darkest vision is the truest. Number 12. Jordan Cronenweth's Cinematography, Light and Shadow. DP Jordan Cronenweth, fresh from Altered States, embraced high-contrast photography. He used open-aperture anamorphic lenses to smear distant neon into bokeh orbs, and shot through rain-spattered windows to catch every refracted glare. For interior scenes, he rigged overhead smoke machines to catch the shafts of industrial hoppers. Cronenweth's daring interplay of silhouette and flare cast each frame as a chiaroscuro painting, infusing Blade Runner with a visual poetry that no amount of dialogue could replicate. Number 13. The Voit-Kampff Machine, Empathy, Blood, and a Broken Gadget. The heart of Blade Runner is the Voit-Kampff empathy test. Prop master David Brown built the device from dental equipment, 16mm film projectors, and salvaged camera lenses. During rehearsals, early prototypes overheated, spitting sparks onto William Sanderson's beard. He yelped in genuine surprise. The final machine's dial clicks and iris-like panels became a cinematic shorthand for the human soul, questioned, quantified, and ultimately as fragile as the replicants it interrogated. Number 14. Special effects miniatures, crafting a dystopian skyline. Under the supervision of Douglas Trumbull, model makers sculpted massive miniature city blocks with meticulous detail, aerial walkways, cantilevered rooftops, and diesel soot textures. Each building was lit from within by hundreds of flickering lamps, creating the illusion of a teeming metropolis viewed from above. Night shoot composite plates overlaid these models with matte paintings by Sid Mead's team, merging real and fabricated landscapes into one seamless, desolate cityscape that still dazzles nearly 40 years later. Number 15. Harrison Ford's on-set, rewrites, and ad-libs. Ford often questioned Deckard's motivations, pushing for clearer emotional through lines. He campaigned to add the line, "I've done questionable things," in the police precinct. On rainy street takes, Ford would ad-lib dialogue to ground Deckard's exhaustion. "I need a drink." Scott embraced these spur-of-the-moment interjections, weaving them into the final edit to humanize a hero in moral limbo. Those candid moments underscore Deckard's most compelling trait, a reluctant empathy buried beneath years of cynicism. Bonus 1. A legacy of questions, humanity's mirror. 40 years on, Blade Runner remains a mirror reflecting our anxieties about artificial intelligence, corporate power, and environmental collapse. Its replicants ask us, what does it mean to feel? What fragments of memory define the self? Every restoration, fan theory, and sequel reaffirms the original's enduring power. The film's shadows still flicker with questions that demand answers as elusive as the replicants' final moments. Decades later, Deckard's footsteps echo down abandoned alleyways in our collective consciousness. His encounters with replicants continue to challenge us. Are we the hunters or the hunted? As we chase our own reflections in plexiglass and neon puddles, remember the lessons of Blade Runner. Cherish fragile memories, question every authority, and never stop seeking the humanity within the coldest circuitry. So, which revelation astonished you most, and how will it reshape your next viewing? Step into the comments, ignite the dialogue, and if you felt the pulse of this dystopian dream, subscribe and prepare for more deep dives into the films that define our imagination. And as Batty whispered under rain-pelted skies,
Time to die.
But for Blade Runner, time is only the beginning.